Hi everyone! Glad to see you all again on for our second digital chat about Ungifted by Korman. Um, right now it looks like we have no viewers, so I'm just going to wait a little bit while. Again, let me introduce myself. My name is Laura Jenkins, and I am the YA coordinator here at the Coeur d'Alene Public Library. I'm trying to be better about looking at the camera instead of watching myself on the screen, so watch me have crazy eyes the entire chat today. We're just going to wait a couple more minutes and see, like I said, if we have more people that are able to start viewing with us, and then we'll get started talking about pages. Let's see, we covered pages 77 all the way to page 147 for this week's discussion, and there was a lot going on in this particular section, so we have a lot of things to cover today. We do have an opening question up on the Edmodo site, so for those of you that are there and are listening in, just an opening question for you, please respond on the Edmodo site, and remember, we don't want to spoil ahead of what has been read to, so if you have read anything beyond page 147, please make sure that you keep that in mind as you're forming your responses for the questions today, because we don't want to spoil the book for those of us that are reading as we go along. So, your opening question. In this section of the book, everyone's favorite socially awkward gifted student, Noah, discovers YouTube with Donovan's help. If you are anything like me and most modern teenagers, you have spent countless hours watching videos on YouTube during your life. On page 103, Noah describes the magical experience of a video in which a Cocker Spaniel drinks out of a toilet, which sounds just about as entertaining as any YouTube video I've ever seen. But what is the most magical video, YouTube video you've ever seen? Make sure you're keeping those videos appropriate, but I would love to get a list of all the different YouTube videos that you guys have found funny, inspiring, original. Looks like we have one viewer now, so yay, we have one viewer. If you are able to hear me or not hear me, please just let me know on the Edmodo site so that I can either adjust my volume or, move the camera around, figure out what's going on with this, and make sure that you're able to hear and keep up with the chat that we're doing. So wait just a couple more minutes, see if we can get any other viewers. Again, go ahead and say hi on the Edmodo site so that we'll know if you're listening in and know to get started with our chat. And please respond to that intro question that we have there. I hope you guys are all having a great first week back to school. Those of you that are in the Coeur d'Alene public school system, for those of you that are at charter, I'm sure you guys are already getting back in the groove of homework, and maybe some of you have even had your first pop quizzes or tests. Hopefully not any tests, but possibly some pop quizzes. But yeah, go ahead and just say hi to us on the Edmodo site. There's Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Glad you were able to join us. And yet again, I love your cat icon, your Pusheen icon. It's one of my favorites. So since we're now about 5 minutes into our half hour, I am going to go ahead and get started. If you join us along the way, please just say hi and let us know that you're here on the Edmodo site, like I said. And again, my name is Laura Jenkins. I'm the Young Adult Coordinator here at the Coeur d'Alene Public Library, and we are discussing pages 40, again, I have to look at the pages that we read, 77 to 147 in Ungifted by Korman, so hopefully everybody has those read, or at least skimmed for today. Okay, so like I said, lots has happened in this section of the book. We have all of our intro stuff done. Donovan has already moved into a routine with the ASD school and has met all of the other students in his robotics team. He's developed a relationship with Mr. Oz, not a relationship, but I mean, like, he's kind of become friends with some of his different teachers and has found a couple of different mentors in his new environment, which sounds like a pretty swanky school. I haven't seen many middle schools that have a sushi bar at them, but I'd be really curious to see how that looks in a space like that. I don't know if there are any other sushi fans out there, but I would have loved to have eaten sushi as one of my meal choices in middle school. Okay, so to get started, one of the things that is really kind of on my mind right now is the fact that a lot of people are suspicious about why Donovan is at the ASD school. All of his teachers have been discussing it in meetings. They're kind of getting together, collaborating, talking about, well, he doesn't really seem gifted in my area. Maybe he's good at physics, or maybe he's good at art, or maybe he's good at this, or this. But they're slowly starting to discover that none of these different subjects seem to be Donovan's thing. So, kind of interesting that none of his teachers are looking into this a little more. Hi, Megan. I just saw that you said hi, so welcome to the chat. I'm glad you were able to join us. Again, my name is Laura. I'll just keep saying hi. And I'm the YA coordinator down at the Coeur d'Alene Public Library. So talking more about different people that are starting to notice that maybe this isn't supposed to be where Donnie is, and why is he here, and how did he test into such a difficult school. So, like I said, teachers discussing, and then Donovan himself actually starts out this section with a list of different diseases or conditions he's kind of concocted to help defend himself against suspicions from his teachers. So he tells one of them that he's ADD, he whips up an obsessive-compulsive disorder, talks about restless leg syndrome to explain his shaking and nervousness in class. So I found that to be kind of humorous, that he was coming up with all of these different excuses and different reasons behind these conditions, and also kind of getting a little bit of help from his teachers by lying, basically. I found that to be funny. Not necessarily the best way to go about, you know, taking care of your assignments for school, but still humorous. Okay, so even other students are starting to notice that it's kind of a given that Donnie is not supposed to be at this school. So Chloe herself says on page 123, I'd heard the rumors around school about an unqualified kid at the academy. It wasn't hard to identify this newbie who didn't have what it took. From what I'd seen of Donovan, though, there might have been an element of truth to the gossip. It pained me to say it. He was wonderful, but was he gifted? I wanted to believe it. I tried so hard. Yet in my heart of hearts, I knew the answer. So Chloe, who is probably the person that is most excited for Donnie to be at the ASD school, is basically, hi Shelby, glad you could join us. So Chloe's the one that's most excited about Donnie being there. But even she is starting to admit, this is kind of fishy, kind of suspicious. Why is he here? Obviously, Abigail has had her doubts from the beginning, and Noah has obviously expressed his doubts about Donnie being there. But Noah also doesn't really seem to care. We're going to talk a little bit more about him. He, right now, is probably my favorite character in the whole story. I think his getup that he wore to the dance is inspirational, and I thought that was one of the funniest moments of this section of the book. So really, really enjoyable character. I think that his kind of contempt for the whole system and for all of his teachers is just laughable, and all of his social awkwardness just really gets to me. I think it's hilarious. Okay, but another question for you guys that I will throw up on Edmodo. Let me just get that posted for you. Why do you think nobody has looked deeper into whether or not Donovan should be in the gifted program? It is a question that has been haunting me. Every single other narrator in the book has been saying, oh, he definitely shouldn't be here, but nobody is taking the time to bring this to someone's attention and actually look into the matter. So that is one of the gripes that I have with an otherwise amazing book right now. I'm really, really enjoying this story. I haven't read much by Gordon Korman before. I've only ever read one other book by him, but I am loving this one. So I think I'm going to have to go back in and look at some of his other books and take a look at that. Oh my gosh, so Shelby said that she has read this book twice already. Is that just twice within this single these 2 weeks that you've had it, Shelby? Or is that twice? You read it when it came out and now you're rereading it for book club, or did you just love it so much that you wanted to read it a second time for book club? Because I definitely am right at that level of loving it so much that I would read it again right away. Okay, let's take a look and see if we have some responses. So for the opening question, It looks like Shelby said she doesn't really watch YouTube, and Megan doesn't really watch YouTube, so maybe that isn't as popular of a thing as the teens down here in Coeur d'Alene make it seem to be. I know that a lot of the teens that volunteer at the library have their favorite YouTube videos that they watch all the time. So maybe that isn't as big of a thing. And Mr. Madsen, Nick, said hi to everyone. So hi, Nick. Thanks for joining us. And Shelby has also responded to this question about Donovan and being in the gifted program. She says, everybody thought the system was unbreakable and the only way you could get in is with a test. So yeah, I guess everybody's just kind of relying on the tests and hoping that nobody made a mistake, thinking that the system itself is not able to be tricked or, incapable of having mistakes made. So very true, and they do bring that up at one point, that he must have passed the tests, he must have gotten in some way, so obviously he has to be gifted in some manner or other. So another thing that happens, a really big thing that happens in this section, both literally and also figuratively, is Katie, Donovan's pregnant sister, becomes basically a science experiment for the robotics team and becomes their experience component for their human growth and development credit, which they are missing. They were threatened with summer school, and luckily we're able to get out of that with Donovan's help. So he went and sought help from his family, even though he himself wouldn't benefit from this at all. He went and asked his sister Katie and got her to volunteer to be basically a guinea pig for the group in the robotics team so that they wouldn't have to take summer school. So Shelby, that's really cool that you've already read it twice. I think that's kind of amazing. I am probably going to be right there with you once I'm able to finish it. But, okay, so because of the curriculum mix-up, Donovan's class gets to learn human growth and development through experience rather than having to take a class. And they get to watch Katie as she goes through the final stages of her pregnancy. So she's in her last trimester, I believe. So literally a huge project because she is probably massive with a gigantic baby in her belly. And then also, figuratively, a very big development that happens in the story because it brings Donovan's family into this whole experience of the ASD students. So a question for you guys, because I was thinking about all of the different things that I learned in school and some things that I thought might have been better had I been able to learn them through experience rather than having to sit in a class. So, question for you all. If you were able to learn about one subject or topic through experience, what would you want to learn about, and how would you go about fulfilling your learning requirements? So, for example, I took 4 years of French when I was in high school, and I wish that instead of spending 4 years in a classroom learning French, I had been able to, for example, travel to France and live in France, or travel to France and live there for a summer and learn that way. So that would be one thing that I would rather learn through experience rather than sitting in a classroom for. So just something for you guys to ponder as we go through the rest of our discussion. It looks like we're about halfway through our chat, and I still have a lot of things that I want to cover, so I'll try to speed through these. Okay, so another thing that's going on right now, Beatrice, Katie's dog, is basically only responding to Donovan. He is the only person that she likes in the house. He complains about this dog that is now sleeping in his room. He's the only one that can feed her. He's the only one that she trusts. Everybody else she tries to, like, nip at, and she's been peeing all over the floor when he's not there. So, and even when he is there, it seems like. But why do you think it is that Beatrice is only allowing Donnie to care for her? And what about Donnie might make him appealing to Beatrice? So that is another question that I'm going to throw up on Edmodo for you guys. If you want to respond to that one, feel free to do so. I'm going to check back for some responses on our other questions. And you can go ahead and answer these questions. And I also know that sometimes these questions come at you guys really quickly during these chats. So if you are not able to respond to them right away, let's Say hi to Barbara. Hi, Barbara. If you're not able to respond to those questions right away, and you really do want to come back to them and give some good responses to those questions, feel free to do so throughout the week. You don't have to just access the Edmodo sites on Thursdays when we're having our meetings. Okay. So Megan is echoing what Shelby said about why nobody is looking deeper into whether or not Donovan should be in the gifted program. Sounds like Shelby is incredibly enthusiastic about having read the book twice. That's a lot of exclamation points. So let's just continue on our discussion of this book. All right, so one thing that I thought was really funny about Beatrice, I used to have dogs. I really, really enjoy dogs. So when they were talking about all of the dog hair everywhere in his room and how he just kind of has dog slobber all over him all the time, on page 80, one of the funniest lines of the book so far for me was, "There wasn't a part of my body the Chow Chow hadn't napped on yet. I should open up for business as a parking lot. I'd make a fortune in dog biscuits." I thought that was absolutely hilarious. I had to close my book and just sit and laugh for a minute because I definitely remember being a complete napping, basically pillow for my dogs when they were around. So definitely related to Donnie and his experience with the Chow Chow in that part of the book. Okay, so now we're going to get into Noah, because Noah has been my favorite narrator so far. I think he is absolutely hilarious. His humor is so dry, and he just has such a kind of like devil-may-care attitude towards his education, which I just think is so funny because he's supposed to be the most intelligent person in the book. So, about Noah, a little bit. On page 100 in the book, Noah goes through and is talking about his scores for the beginning of the semester in math. He got a 0 out of 20, 1 out of 15, 4 out of 35, and an incomplete, which really should add up to an F-, is what he says, so a failing grade. But his teachers instead have given him an A+ and just kind of laughed it off as, oh, you could have gotten 100% had you wanted to. Why do you think it is that Noah wants to fail? I know he talks a little bit about it in the session, but I want to hear what you guys have to say about why it is that Noah is not putting forward his best effort when he is supposed to be a gifted student. And he talks about how Mr. Oz kind of criticizes him for wasting his gift and not living up to his full potential. But I want to hear what you guys think about it. Do you think that him kind of squandering this gift is a bad thing? Do you think that's his choice? So go ahead and respond to that question on Edmodo if you would like to. So why do you think it is that Noah wants to fail? And one other thing that I noticed about Noah, we'll have a couple questions about him. The way the teachers treat him is blatant favoritism. You can absolutely see it. I hated seeing this when I was in school. So have you ever experienced this in school? And where else in life do unfair advantages like this exist? So let me just put those questions up there for you as well. So where else in life? That's things like, one example of that immediately comes to mind is like in politics. Do you think there are unfair advantages like that in, say, elections? People that are shown favoritism by different organizations, things like that. So I'm looking for examples like that. If you guys could draw some examples, that would be really, really great. Okay, let me just... Okay. So Shelby says that she really, really, really wants to give a spoiler, but she has no idea why she prefers Donovan. Okay. So, and it looks like Mr. Madsen has responded to our opening question and has put a link on there of a comedian juggler performing when Ronald Reagan was president. So that sounds like a really funny one. And yeah, Bravest Warriors for the win! They're so fantastic. It's an entirely YouTube TV show by the same creators of Adventure Time, so it's that same animation style and it's that same like goofy kind of humor, plus like guinea pigs or hamsters. I can't remember, but they want to take over the world and they can talk and they sound absolutely hilarious. So really funny show if you want to check it out. Okay, but that's beside the point. All right. So, other things about Noah. Oh, actually, we have some responses to why do you think Noah wants to fail. Shelby said he wants to go to a normal school and he won't ever learn anything anywhere. So he's too smart. He thinks that there's nothing left for him to learn that's directly related to the classes that he has at ASD, so that's definitely very possible. Megan has also said he wants to go to a regular school and he thinks that if he gets bad grades, the teachers will send him there. So yes, those are definitely some of the reasons why Noah said he isn't trying as hard in his classes. So yeah, definitely a couple of things. If you guys think of any other reasons why you think Noah might be wanting to fail, think about like what Chloe has said about being a gifted student and see if there might be some correlation between a gifted student not really being a gift because it's not given to you. There's always going to be something that's expected in return. Okay, so, oh my gosh, we only have 8 minutes left. Okay, so Noah says about his math scores that it just doesn't matter. So for you, are grades important? And if they aren't important to you, what do you think might be a better way of measuring a person's progress? Either in school or just in life, anything like that, more specifically in school, since that's a little more relatable for everyone. And let's just see. Oh, okay, so Megan also has a big dog. I'm thinking it's the dog that's in your profile picture. Super cute. But she says instead of Beatrice laying on Donovan, she lays on her dog tubs. That must be a big dog. My dogs were never large enough, so whenever I tried to like cuddle or use them as a pillow, they would get a little upset with me. I was a little bigger than they were. So, okay, so new question up there about Noah, and then just another question that I want to know your opinion about. What do you think does matter to Noah? So he's talking about all of these different normal things that he wants to do, that he wants to experience. What do you think are the things that he's talking about, normal things that matter to him? Okay, so lots and lots of questions for you today. We'll move on a little bit and talk about some of the students at ASD. So on page 111, Donovan is defending the students at ASD when Katie is kind of criticizing them, saying they're not misfits, they're just different, super smart, but dumb in a way too, like babies. Also, see how he's talking to his pregnant sister who has a baby, and then is comparing the ASD students to babies. So you can kind of see parallels that Gordon Korman is throwing in all over his text and just kind of drawing parallels between different characters. So keep an eye out for those. They're really, really cool literary devices that kind of draw things and compact them and make it a cohesive novel. But some questions to go along with that. Do you think that's an accurate description of the students at ASD? And in what ways do you think they are dumb? And I use dumb in quotation marks because I'm quoting someone. I am not personally saying that I think they are dumb. So, all right. Let me put that up for you. Sorry, tons and tons and tons of questions. Sounds like Tubbs, the dog, is very large, which is really exciting. Big dogs are so much fun. I've always wanted to have a Great Dane because they're like small horses. And I feel like it would be really cool to get a saddle for a Great Dane and watch a little kid ride it. I don't know if you can actually do that. That's probably animal abuse. But I think it would look really funny. And even if I could just Photoshop a picture of that, I'd be okay with it. Okay. So, it's a little bit about the students at ASD. They're talking more about the bullying that went into their lives before coming to this new academy. And that's part of the reason why some of them like it so much and are so defensive of it. But there are students among the group that want to have those normal experiences, namely Noah and Chloe. Chloe especially. She loves Donovan because he is this little bit of normalcy in this otherwise completely gifted world that she has been living in. And it's full of expectations, and he is just a little chunk of normal experiences and normal life that she wants to be able to have. So, yeah, one of the funniest scenes in this section for me was when Chloe was praising Donovan for bringing a bit of normalcy to ASD on page 122, Describing the students at ASD, she says, "We were no different from the rest of humanity, and we were going to show that we were every bit as capable of having a good time." She's talking about the dance here. All thanks to Donovan Curtis. Obviously, I understood that Donovan hadn't made any of this happen directly. He couldn't possibly have destroyed the Hardcastle gym, forcing them to move the dance towers. Nobody was capable of shaping human events like that. That is a huge chunk of irony. And again, all those little literary devices that Gordon Korman is just kind of like peppering throughout his book to make it one big, tight ball of comedy and hilarity just really, really add to the story. So I thought that, I, again, had to close the book and just stop and chuckle for a couple of minutes as soon as I read that line because it was so funny. All right, but Donovan spent most of the night trying to protect everyone at the dance, from Abigail to Chloe to Tin Man, Square Pants, I can't remember the full name, to himself when he finds out that the superintendent of schools is there. So do you think that things might have turned out better had Noah not been trying to keep everyone protected? What do you think he should have done? Do you think he should have done something differently, or do you think that how he acted at the dance was exactly what he should have been doing? So, put a question up on the board for you guys. It looks like Shelby has responded to the question about the students at ASD and the ways that they are dumb, and said that, yeah, the kids at the academy are book smart, not street smart. That's a great way of putting it. So they have a lot of experience with knowledge that comes from books and learning, but not necessarily a whole lot of real-world experiences, hence Chloe being obsessed with this dance. So a little bit more about the dance. One really great way that Gordon Korman is able to talk about it is by narrating the first part of the dance through Chloe's eyes. So we get to see the beginning of the dance through Chloe's eyes, from decorations to just the crowds of people to the kind of music that's playing, something that she has never experienced, talking about getting dressed for the dance. I don't know if anybody else chuckled about that, but I definitely have sat in front of a closet full of clothes and said, I have nothing to wear before. So definitely drew parallels with Chloe on that one. But then the second part of the dance is narrated by Donovan. So why did you think Gordon Korman chose to have Chloe narrate the first part of the dance? What is it that is special about Chloe that makes her a good choice for a narrator in this situation? And then why do you think he then switches viewpoints to have Donovan narrate? So let me just put that question up on Edmodo for you guys. I think it's a really, really important choice for Gordon Korman to have Chloe as the narrator for the first part of the dance. And I want to hear what your opinion is on why he made that choice. And then I want to hear your opinion on why he chose to have Donovan narrating at the second part of the dance when all of the different things are kind of pulling apart at the seams. The dance is hitting more of the emergency side of things. We have just a couple minutes left, so let me just wrap up our discussion. As Donovan is describing the dance on page 135, he says, I didn't even like these school parties, and here I'd gone to great lengths to saddle myself doing my unfavorite thing, dancing, with my unfavorite person, Abigail. This is the second time that Donovan has worked to do something unselfish. So the first time being when he started caring for Beatrice, and then also, I guess, a third time then, when he joined the robotics team and started helping with those different situations. And then also, I guess the fourth time when he went and asked Katie if she would mind being the experiment or the hands-on experience for the human growth and development class. So what do you think all of these different acts of kindness say about Donovan? And could this be hinting at Donovan's own unique gift? Do you think he has a unique gift? Is Donovan gifted in some way? And what do you think his gift is? So let me just put this last question up on Edmodo, and then I'll give you guys a little bit of information about next week's meeting, and then you're all free to go because it's 4:30, and I always go over on time, but you guys are so patient with me. So there's that last question for you, and just a brief note, our next meeting is going to be Thursday, September 17th. We're going to be reading pages 148 through 216. We are going to have a guest moderator next week, I believe. So you'll get more information on that as we move along through the week, and we will hopefully see you next time. Thanks everybody for joining in, and I hope you've had a great first week of school or second week of school, depending on where you go to school. So thanks again, everyone, and I will see you next time.